City Jazz Sessions is about great music, arts, and entertainment. We are located in St. Louis, Missouri, and available to performance art lovers worldwide. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. You can email us at cityjazzsessions@gmail.com.
Hello, City Jazz Sessions, fans, friends. We have the beautiful, talented Denise Thimes with us today. Denise, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Leica.
And Leon is my co-host. Of course, I am Leica. And we're going to start off talking about your Mother's Day annual performance, because I know sometimes people will tune in quick for a few minutes and then they'll tune out. So I want to get this out there first. This is a tribute to your mother, well, in honor of your mother,
Right.
who passed away from pancreatic cancer. And I want to say my grandmother actually passed away from pancreatic cancer. So I also know, how that process works, and it's a tough one.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about your mom, and how this idea came up, this Mother's Day annual event that you do.
Well, my mother, Mildred, of course, was the most beautiful person ever alive, inside and out. She was the wife of legendary radio legend Lou Fatha Thimes, my daddy, and a mother to 6 other siblings and myself. And she was a homemaker and just a very, very beautiful, doting mom and wife. I had gone to Singapore on tour, and before I left, I knew there were some issues going on with my mom, but we didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
While I was still in Singapore, 3 weeks before my tour was over, I had learned that she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. I didn't know what it was. A lot of people, in Singapore, I was asking, do you know what pancreatic cancer is? And they was like, no,
Mm-hmm.
we don't know what it is. And so when I got back home, Leica, I was trying to figure out what could I do where my mom could hear me sing, for what would have been, according to the doctors, her last time hearing me sing.
Yeah.
And so the nearest holiday, so to speak, at that time was Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And so what turned out to be just a one-time concert that I wanted to do with my mom and for my mom before, she transitioned. Here I am 25 years later doing it and trusting that it is helping now others to heal, who have lost their
Right.
moms as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. How neat. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that you did that while she was still alive, the first one.
Yeah.
Yes.
She
And
got a
then
chance to see the
25.
very first one. Mm.
Yes, how beautiful. And
Yes.
I was listening to another interview that you did, and you were just saying, how nourishing, your mother was. Uh,
Very much so. I mean,
right.
she was a very nurturing woman, and we all felt like we were the favorite child. So,
Yeah, so much love. And
yes.
the proceeds from the event are going to be on Mother's Day, which is May 8th at 5:30 at the Two Hill on UMSL's campus. Beautiful theater. And proceeds go to the Siteman Cancer Center, right? To help
Right.
fund
Part of the
research.
net proceeds do go um, to the Sideman Cancer Center research
Hmm.
for pancreatic cancer.
Right.
And I also want to mention that we have a wonderful lavish buffet at 3 p.m. before for the concert. So that,
Right.
yeah, that starts at 3, and then the concert starts at 5:30.
Hmm.
And but yeah, yes, we have been donating to Siteman now, I guess, for the past 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah. One of
Hmm.
the, if people don't are not aware, is one of the premier institutions for cancer research here
Yes,
in St. Louis.
right.
So, and there's, it's even now with pancreatic cancer. I know my grandmother passed away a while ago. is very low survival rates for this particular type of cancer. So there definitely needs to be, more research, more awareness. And, like you said, not a lot of people in Singapore knew, at the time, but not a lot of people in America, knew. So
Absolutely.
I think this is a great way to honor, mothers in general, inspired by your mother, and then also bring awareness,
Yes.
to this, yeah,
Hmm.
fatal condition.
I
So,
couldn't have said it any better. That's it, Leica. That's
yeah.
definitely it. So we are using, music to attract, and we do give a little bit of information um, um, during our concert. Not much, because we
Hmm.
want
Hmm.
people to enjoy the afternoon with their
Right.
moms. But our fall concert, Leica, which is happening on the 27th of October at the Sheldon Concert Hall, that is the event that we use to fully talk about pancreatic cancer,
Okay.
where we have Dr. Landis Hall to come in and speak to our audience for about 5 minutes,
Hmm.
and all the, and it is our annual benefit fundraising event.
Okay.
So,
Neat.
yeah,
Neat.
yeah.
And then also, there's a Mildred Times Foundation, as well, that this event is, in conjunction with,
Right, right.
inspired
And
by your
that's
mother.
right. That's why I started the foundation, because, as you mentioned, you know, and you lost your grandmother when?
It was 2002,
Yeah.
2002.
And see, I lost my mom in 1997, and here you are in 2002 saying there still was not a lot of awareness, and
Right.
that people didn't really know much about the disease. And at
Hmm.
the time, doctors weren't sure, how to treat it. Of course, chemo, but, they really weren't sure what was what. And as
Hmm.
you mentioned, yeah, it is a very short lifespan um, cancer once you've been diagnosed with it. My mother was given 6 months to live, but thank God she was with us for 11.
Okay.
And so that is, yeah, definitely the main reason why I chose to continue to be on this journey, so that we can create the awareness for this disease.
Yeah. Same, 6 months as well with my grandmother. And
Oh, wow.
unfortunately she didn't make it even to 6 months.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is such a beautiful event, and I'm so glad you're doing it. And I'll start using it as a way to honor my grandmother's legacy as well on Mother's Day. So I really just appreciate you so much for,
Thank you.
you know, you know, going through this and inspiring other people, with this event. So
And
now, oh, go
if
ahead.
I may add, Leica, um, as I, was on this journey, um, in developing the foundation, we now, thank God, have really found our niche, because what happened for me is, like, my dad has always been the breadwinner in our family, but when my mother got sick, it just, everything just seemed like it fell apart.
Hmm.
And I know that even though, um, you know, our family, you know, was and is the family that it was, but, there were some things that we definitely still could have used some support on.
Sure.
And so we like to think of ourselves as this tangible foundation, because when a loved one has been stricken with this disease, and for instance, if my mother had been the breadwinner of our family, that the
Mhm.
bottom of our family would have fallen out. And
Right.
so I had to flip this thing around and say, you know what? People need immediate help,
Right.
immediate support, because when a loved one is stricken with this disease, and you given 6 months, but you only live the 3 or 2
Hmm.
of those 6 months, that's devastating for a family. And so we when we do, ask people for support, they should know that their donations are going to families and individuals who are stricken with this disease, who need the immediate support.
Yes. I love it. I love that you have thought through all of this, through your own experience.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think a lot of us think about doing something to honor our loved ones, and never get around to it. And this is something that really a lot of people can get behind as a way to, continue that legacy for their own loved one who may have been stricken by this disease or really any cancer. Um,
Yes, thank you for that. Yes.
all right, so May 8th, Mother's Day, 5:30 at the Two Hill. You guys check it out. I will be there. I'm so excited. And so we're going to move on and talk a little bit about your career as a whole. And, we've only got a short amount of time, so we're not going to be able to cover all of it. But you've a lot of people call you a legend, you
Uh,
know, legendary jazz singer. How do you feel about that? About that title that people describing you in that way?
that's a good question. Thank you for that.
Hmm.
You know, uh, as a young girl growing up, even though, of course, my mother, was in the house, but I was raised by my grandmother. You know?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And my grandmother instilled, so many things in me. And one of the things that she would always tell me was to be humble so that the
Hmm.
Lord can use you.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, like, I was humble to a fault, but
Hmm.
but but never stop being, who I am, and and who I choose to be, and who I'm still striving to be. Um,
Right.
but I do believe that humbleness carries you a long way. So I have to say, in answer to your question, I am just starting to embrace some of those accolades.
Hmm.
It's hard for me to talk about myself or hear things about myself or receive compliments like a lot of us, but I'm starting to say thank you. I'm
Yes.
starting to think and say, yeah, I did do that, didn't I?
Hmm.
And not in a haughty spirit, but just in a way of just, really I reflect more. And so I'm really grateful to God for that, because being a single mom and raising two beautiful children, you know, singing was the roof over your head.
Yeah.
It was the, food on the table. It was the car note, it was the
Hmm.
mortgage. And you didn't really take the time to really look at all the things that you did. You just knew you had to make it work.
Sure.
So I think today, I thank God where I am today is that I can really reflect. And so it makes me really feel good that people think enough of me to call me that. And
Yeah.
I just pray that I can continue to live up to the standards.
Yes. Beautiful. Leon, did you want to jump in with any questions for
Well,
Denise?
my question kind of, I was in radio for a little bit, but everybody remembers your father. What was it like, living in St. Louis with someone that was so loved by the community? What was that like?
Fun. Um, uh, you gotta give me the crying, Leon.
I'm sorry.
um, my dad was just what you saw in public. That's how my dad was at home. Some of the childhood memories I have of my dad, Leon, is that when he would do some of his shows, and I don't know, the tickets may have been at that time maybe like $3.50, I don't
Hmm.
know, or $5.50, I don't know. But they would have this change box, and they would get all these dimes and quarters and nickels from the bank before the event so they can be able to give the people their change. And so all the change that was left over, Dad would come home and he would stand at the balcony of our banister steps. And Leica, he would pour all of that change down the steps. And as little kids, we would be screaming. All we could hear was And we're like, what is that? And once we saw it was money, and all it was five of us then, and we were like scrounging around for that money. You should have seen us.
Oh,
And so he was very comical because I was telling Robin Boyce today, who had worked with my dad for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
Leon, that she didn't know that my dad started off as a comedian in the business.
hmm.
And he and another gentleman called themselves Lou and Blue. And they were on the Chitlin circuit for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then when my dad was enlisted into the service while he was in Okinawa, is when he was doing the radio thing.
Hmm.
And so he continued the radio um, um, talent when he got out of the army, and that's how he got into radio. And there was a gentleman, I can't recall who he was in the studio with dad, because he was Lou Times, and because his last name was Times, he said your handle should be Father Times, Lou Father
Right.
Time, as in Father Time, you know.
Yeah.
And so dad was very comical. Our whole family has a sense of humor. And even my children have a sense of humor. So that is something that has really been, instilled in all of us, and just a lot of fun. And of course, priceless in terms of the celebrities that we met, priceless in terms of the music that I was privy to growing up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I remember. Oh, go ahead, Leon.
So is anyone else in your family, any of your siblings, into the music or entertainment business?
Um, of course, my brother is the real JR.
The real JR. I know about that.
So he's into radio as well.
Oh, okay.
And none of my other siblings, they don't sing or act, or they're not in entertainment. Just myself and my brother.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I remember I saw something where you were saying you had met Aretha a few times, and um, I saw you in a picture with Quincy Jones, and you know, it just seems like that's just your community. Other stars. That's just the life of
Well,
Denise Times.
it's a blessing, Leica. You another, singer that I admire. I admire your gift. And
Thank you.
it's I didn't know that God had those things in store for me.
Hmm.
And I can certainly tell by your talent and your persona, that he has great things in store for you as well, you
Thank
know.
you.
And so my grandmother always told me, put God first in everything that you do,
Right.
and that's what I did, and that's what I do, and that's what I've
Hmm.
done.
Yes.
And because you don't know what your path is going to lead to. You just know the desires that you have. And at
Right.
that time, like that was pretty much all we had, Leon, was desires, because we didn't have American Idol.
Yeah.
We didn't have
Right.
we didn't
Yeah.
have any of those boosters,
Right.
Hmm.
that will boost our careers, that will take us from being a no name to everybody knowing your name,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so we just had the sheer talent and the will and the willingness to just hang in here and do this thing until times got better you know
So what do you
Am I?
what do you think were some of the toughest parts of um, having a career of 30 years? Was there anything that made you think, maybe I'd have changed my line of work, or maybe I'd have um, do something different? Oh,
um yeah. I can tell you, um being can you still hear me?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I can tell you, being a Spelman grad, and this is something that I don't mind sharing, because I hope that it could be encouraging to other women in the business out here. And if you happen to be a single mom, And being a single mom in this business, Leon,
Mm-hmm.
made me want to hang my hat up many a day, because it was always a thing in my ear saying to me, are you going to be a diva or are you going to be a mother?
Mm-hmm.
And being the kind of mother that I chose to be, because I know that I was mothered in that way
Right.
and grandmothered in that way, I really could not give my all to my career because I chose to be a mother.
Yeah.
And so that was probably the hardest thing in juggling my schedule and their schedule. Who's going to pick them up?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to
Mm-hmm.
take them there? And that sort of thing. And not really having, um, that, paternal support.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was really tough. And, my son graduated from Morehouse College in 2020. And my daughter is a professional
Congratulations.
ballerina. She just finished up a contract with the Louisville Ballet Company.
Oh,
Congratulations.
wow.
And so that's why I chose to be a mother,
Yeah.
and it's and that's a job all by itself, right,
Mm-hmm.
Laker?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
a job all by itself. And I'm pretty sure if you have kids, Leon, you know what I'm talking about too.
Mm-hmm.
But that but ooh, as the old folks say, I wouldn't take nothing for my journey. I wouldn't take nothing for my journey. I would do it all over again.
Yes.
And so I encourage young mothers, especially in this business when you're trying to be a diva too, you know, uh, hang on in there.
Right.
There's some light at the end of this tunnel, baby.
Yeah.
So hang in there. Yeah.
So
Thank you,
you
Leon,
what
for that question. That was great.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
one of the things that I noticed, I think I saw this on your website or somewhere, you performed at an event where the Queen was, the Queen of England, correct? What was that
Yes,
like? I think, not everybody gets to be in the same room with the Queen. So tell me a little bit about that experience.
that's one of the experiences where I still pinch myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very, very nervous, Laker. I mean, just imagine an event that you've had that you're nervous, and this multiplied by 1,000.
Sure.
That's how nervous I was. And it was not only the Queen, but it was President George Bush, and it was Nancy Reagan, and it was
Right.
Condoleezza Rice, and all of these dignitaries, that were there. And you really, and um, um, uh, Hillary Clinton, and you're like, am I really in this room? And am I really here? You know, you know, this little North Side girl, and but it was really rewarding. I would have liked for at the time for the media in St. Louis to have been a little more embracive of that.
Mm-hmm.
And um, and that didn't happen too much.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was almost like I hadn't done anything. And
Right.
so it's the
Sure.
first time I've really said something about that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a wonderful experience. And that is one of those moments where I go, yeah, yeah, I did that, you know. But incredible, experience. Another thing, just being someplace else, like
Yeah.
somebody heard me at one of the embassies in Washington, D.C. And they were like, when the Queen comes to the States, to the British Embassy, we already know who we want to entertain.
Wow.
And then they had to get my music and send it to the Queen
Yeah.
for approval.
Oh,
And
wow.
so it was like I had the British Embassy's approval, but you had to get the approval from the Queen as well. And
Wow.
so when she saw me, like, guess what she said to me?
What?
She says, I want to hear Route 66.
Oh my
I
word.
said, I said, you got it, girl. You got it. I didn't say girl, but I said, yes, ma'am.
How neat.
Yeah,
How neat.
yeah. So, yeah,
Now
that
you
was.
performed all over the world at at all the premier jazz clubs and festivals and things like that. Do you have like a highlight or a memory that you feel like, this was one of my favorites, or you know, uh, something you can share with us on that journey around the world and everywhere?
I know what you're saying, and I get asked
Hmm.
that question a lot.
Yeah.
But Leica, hear me and hear me. Each performance that God allows me to do is my best performance.
Yes.
And I don't have a favorite because
Hmm.
I'm grateful for it all. And that's the reason why I try to kill it
Yeah.
every time I get a chance.
Yeah.
And so if you ask me, I would tell you whatever my last performance was, that
Hmm.
was it, because I give my all, to my audience. And so every audience is treated equally.
Sure.
And so it doesn't matter how big, how small, how great, how local,
Hmm.
it's we're gonna have some fun,
Yeah.
and we're gonna do the dang on thing. So
I heard that.
I'm sorry, I wish I had a better answer,
So
but
not the Blue Note in New York, huh?
I mean, of course, everything, I mean, all of it is, the
Yeah.
getting a chance to perform at Disney's Coca-Cola Room,
Hmm.
performing with Wynton Marsalis, performing with David Sanborn, singing for the Queen, singing for Aretha Franklin, opening up for Tony Bennett, um, and singing at Jazz at the Bistro, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
all of that, it's all wonderful. It's all
Right.
wonderful. Singing at the Sheldon, singing at the Two Hill.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm just grateful for all of it, you know,
So, with
Yeah.
all the
for
traveling
all of
that you've done, is there any place that surprised you where you went there expecting one thing and got something totally different?
it. Now I can answer that question. Thailand. Love me some Thailand.
Really?
Ooh, yes, ma'am. Food is good, delicious.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's a country where they speak pretty decent English. They can understand. Um, um, the shopping is incredible, and like you could bring them a picture of a gown or a dress, and they've got all kind of fabric places everywhere, just
Oh, wow.
gorgeous fabric all over everywhere you go. It's just beautiful, 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 beautiful fabric. And you can buy fabric at that time, it was pretty reasonable. Take it to one of, some, I mean, all the tailors are not good, but when you find
Hmm.
that right tailor, take it to that right tailor, and you got the identical dress. And
Neat.
that was heaven for me, because by me being tall, it's hard
Right.
for me to find things that Leica can wear, you know. And so I want to look like Leica.
You always look beautiful.
And
Always.
so yeah, so
I
that was
always
that was
think,
my
who is her stylist? Because she can dress.
fun. Oh, thank you. I try to represent.
Oh, you most definitely do. And you always seem so, calm on stage. I was so surprised when you said you were nervous, singing with the queen, which I mean is understandable. Because you always seem, so calm and present, and when you
Uh,
perform.
Not at first,
Hmm.
not prior to.
Sure.
And then once I get out and I can read the audience,
Okay.
and they feeling me and I'm feeling them,
Yeah.
and then I'm ready to go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap up pretty soon. Leon, you have any closing questions you'd like to ask?
I could talk, forever about,
He really can.
I
Come on,
can.
Leon. You get to ask two more if you want to,
All right,
Leon.
two more questions. Very good. Very good. Okay. Um, are you working with like, I know you're doing, what other charity events are you attached to, and how are you helping, give back?
Oh my gosh, I'm constantly giving back. Um, I work with several charity organizations. My way of giving back is when I'm hired for an organization. Um, I really do go out of my way to how can I say this? Um, uh, in some cases, um, some of the more seasoned organizations, they may have someone that is also seasoned that puts their events together, and it's all of it is T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. Then you have some smaller organizations who may not have the luxury of having someone like that.
Mhm.
That's where I come in with my event planner cap, and I say, okay, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to do this like this. Are you good with that? Oh my God, yes. you
Mhm.
know that's one way that I give back, because it's free
Yeah.
and I know it's going to work. And so and I don't say that with a haughty spirit.
Hmm.
but
Sure.
but that's my way of giving back. I give back monetarily. I had a few organizations that I really was close to, but a lot of them are defunct now, Leon. And so and a lot of them any for the most part, women and children are my passion. And so most things that have to do with women or elderly or children, I'm in.
Mhm.
And so so yeah, so now I'm getting ready to do an event for the Diaper Foundation, and I'm starting to love on them a whole lot. And so
Okay.
I'm thinking that that's going to be one of the organizations I'm going to start loving on, outside of the Mildred Times Foundation, and doing things for them and with them.
Oh, very good. Okay, so for my last question, um, have you thought about running for president?
Several times,
Have you? Okay. I just
believe
want,
it or not.
we've got enough.
You know what I wanted to do when I was in my 40s? I wanted to be mayor of St. Louis.
Really?
I've always wanted to
Wow.
be mayor of St. Louis. Not now, I don't.
Mhm.
Why not?
But I've always wanted to be a mayor. Politics is something I probably would have gone to if I
Hmm.
had not been an entertainer.
Very good.
Law and politics. That
Interesting.
was a really good question, Leon.
Well, thank you.
You all up in my head.
Well, I
That's
mean,
why we pay him the big bucks.
we've had our first black female Supreme Court justice, and we have yet to have our first black female president. And I just want you to, I'm throwing that out there, you know.
Oh, there's no way I would run for president, Leon.
Uh,
First of all, we need a lot of money.
yeah.
All
But
righty.
I certainly would love to. I really would love to be president of the United States. I really would. It would be such a hip United States, I tell you that.
And that's
I
what we
believe.
need. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
And
done.
someone advocating for women and children, at the highest
Yes.
level.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
All right, Denise. Well, we have had such a beautiful time with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you May 8th at the
Thank you.
Two Hill.
Thank you so
And
much.
yeah, it's been a great
Thank
time.
you. Thank you, Leica. And as I said, continued success to you, my dear. Keep doing
Thank
what
you.
you're doing. Yeah. Keep
Thank you.
doing what
Having
you're
a
doing.
blast doing it.
Yes. Good for you. And I'm going to definitely catch you on at your next set.
Yes.
Yeah. And Leon, thank you so much. Nice meeting you.
It was a pleasure meeting you. I'm glad you came. Earlier we had some mix up on trying to connect, and I was afraid it was going to like fall apart, and I am so glad it did not.
Amen.
And make sure that, the next time that you're doing something, that you hit us up. Make sure that we know. We'd love to have you come back and join us.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right. You have a good night.
All right, darling. You all as well.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
City Jazz Sessions is brought to you by St. Louis City Jazz, a 501c3 company dedicated to music education and appreciation. The CEO is Magic Man 50, and for more ways to connect with City Jazz Sessions, visit cityjazzsessions.wixsite.com/St. Louis. The City Jazz Sessions team includes host, content director, and guest coordinator, jazz great Ronnie Barrage. Follow Ronnie at ronniebarrage.biz. Host, website designer, graphic artist, content director, and guest coordinator, singing sensation Leica. Discover more about Leica at leicamusic.com. Additional production services are provided by Lions Den Productions. Go to thelionsdenstl.wixsite.com/home. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe for more great content.